Hi cuties, it's me again, and today I'm gonna be talking about high school and my high school experience. I don't know, you'll see it. But point is, shout out to my girl XO Mitzi Star Girl on Instagram because she suggested this topic. And yes, to start with, I didn't go to the high school that all of my friends in middle school went to because I lived in a different area. So that was a little sad for me, like when I was gonna start, because I didn't know anybody and I was always like nervous at making friends and things like that. Like my whole elementary years, like up until like maybe fourth grade, I cried because like I didn't have friends, or I don't know, que se me figuraba. The point is, high school, I didn't know people. It was a new place. My sister was gonna go to the same high school. Shout out to my sister. So that was cool, but she was 3 years older. So when I was a freshman, she was a senior. So that kind of like made me happy, but not really, because during lunch we didn't have the same lunch, so that was a problem. But regardless, like, it had to happen for me to be who I am today. And point is, I went to this high school. Shout out to El Dorado High School. Shout out to the class of 2019. Woo! So yes, right, I remember like my first day, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go and sit in the back of the class where it's comfortable, and whoever comes and sits next to me, but that'll be it. And this girl came and she sat next to me. It was algebra. Shout out to Hannah también. I hope you're doing good. And then from there, we started talking, and every day we were kind of like building like a friendship. And that's it. Oh, and the cool thing is that a couple more people, like 4 people from my elementary were actually going to that high school because of like special programs or like a situation where they had to go. The point is, I wasn't completely alone. I had them, so I think we made like a group chat so that we could sit together at lunch. So that was nice. They were there for me also, like during lunch. I didn't have to be like the girl in Mean Girls because she goes to the restroom and eat. Thankfully I had them, and we had each other, to like But yeah, point is, they were there. They were like my comfort place because there were people that I actually talked to. Shout out to Mariana, shout out to Natalie, shout out to Claudia, and this boy Isaiah that used to also like go to my middle school. I really didn't talk to him, but like, people that But point is, yes, thank you for them because they made me feel comfortable and they didn't make me feel alone like how I could have been. Point is, I would sit with them during the first days, for lunch, and then as the days passed, I started meeting people in my classes. So throughout my whole years of high school, I made like really nice, cool, beautiful friendships. So yes, I had them for lunch, right? And then something that was really cool in high school, that if you're in high school, I encourage you to do, is join the clubs. Back then they used to make us get electives and things like that. So I ended up going into Taffy, which was a program that if you wanted to be a teacher, they would give you like more focus on like that aspect. We would go to elementaries and be with kids and whatever, right? But Taffy, so it was a group of people that wanted to eventually become teachers. So that was cool. It was mostly girls. There were a couple of boys, but it was mostly girls. And that club was cool because, I don't know, like we got to spend, I think, like 2 years together in the same like time, and it was like longer periods. I think for like 2 periods we were in that classroom. So it was cool because you eventually like get really close with these people, and that's where I met some of like my favorite people from high school, which were like my girlies, Jocelyn, Claudia, Giselle, and they were my like 3 close friends from that group. But there was a lot of like nice girls and cool girls, and we were all different. The point is, yes, that was a cool experience, the Taffy Club. And it was also nice because we would do activities. And I remember once we were fundraising money, and then we went to Build-A-Bear to get like the monitos, right, like the peluches. And then we handed the peluches over to the hospital for kids, that were going through surgery or in chemo. So that was nice because it was like something different. And then I remember once the teacher, she did like a Christmas party for us. And we all wore our PJs, like after school we changed into our PJs, and we went to watch The Grinch. So that was nice, because when do you go with those people, to the movies? Like, you had to plan it. The point is, that was cool because we also got to go to the movies together, and we had that experience. And I think after we went to Peter Piper, no, that was another time. But anyways, yes, clubs are cool. You get to meet a lot of people, and you get to get comfortable in different experiences. Another club that I was, in high school, was my mariachi group. You also get to go out of town sometimes if you are in like certain clubs. So for Taffy, I did go out of town because one time I won at a competition here. So then we went over to like, I don't know where Texas, but it was like 14 hours. So those experiences were cool because we got to stay at a hotel, and the teacher was there, and that's actually how I got close to my friend Claudia. And Maida too. I remember Maida too. But point is, I still have all these people on Instagram. I see their lives. They're it's cool. And then about this trip, we went, right, and we weren't allowed to go out at night, but porque, for safety. But I don't know why my girlies and I were feeling adventurous. So I remember we sneaked out the room and we were like tripping. We were like, oh, what if we see our teacher? And we did see our teacher, but we were like really good girls. So what we told her is that we were gonna heat up the burritos that my mom had made for the trip, that we were looking for a microwave. And since we were good girls, she believed us, but that wasn't good for us because it could have been dangerous. And yes, it could have been dangerous. So don't lie, respect the curfews, and thankfully nothing bad happened. But yes, we actually went to the pool that time, and we were just there chilling at the pool, and then we were exploring at night the hotel. So you get experiences from joining clubs and putting effort into things. Another club that I joined was also the mariachi, right? I know how to sing, so I was in mariachi, and thankfully, coolfully, I don't know if that's a word, but I wasn't, like, the first year of high school, I wasn't in like the varsity. But my sophomore year, they did put me in the varsity group. So in the varsity group, but the city or whatever, they would book us, so if somebody had like an event, somebody could book us. So we did go on a lot of like times to go play for public events. I remember going to like kinder graduations, or sometimes we would go to like events like at the district. Or sometimes they did take us to, what's it called, to Fort Bliss, to where the soldiers base is at. And that was also really, really cool and nice, because you get to see other things, you get to be with people. We also did go out of town, and we played at this mariachi competition. And that year, it was a really good mariachi group. I was like the youngest one, right? I was like in sophomore. All of them were like juniors and seniors. But they knew a lot. They knew how to sound really good. So they carried the whole team, right? But I was part of that. So we did get to win, like the competition. We got the highest qualification we could, and it was really good, really memorable. We also went to Six Flags, and you just get to make these memories, so high school, it was nice, it was good. What I could say to somebody who's in high school, or even if you're not in high school, maybe this could still help you, maybe if you're going to college, what I would say is, be present in the moment, enjoy where you're at, try to find good friendships with people, care for them so that they care for you. What else? And just have fun. I do have some crazy stories, like I remember once, and again, like, this is back in time, right? I'm a whole new person now, but I do remember once, well, this story happened with my sister. It was senior ditch day, and she was a senior and I was a freshman, and I had never like ditched or anything like that. But my sister was like, come on, let's ditch, because it would be nice, it would be fun. And I ditched one time. Like, I don't remember what class, but I went to have lunch with my sister at Tacos Don Cuco, because it was like a restaurant that was in front of our school. So I remember having lunch with her and her friends, but feeling a little bit shy because, well, they were all older than me. I was right there, a little freshman. And then another story back then. This one's more crazy, but again, I'm not the same person, and I'm more careful now. I'm more careful now. But point is, I remember once, no sé por qué, I was like, pues sí, let me just ditch and let me go get high, because you're in high school. And again, this is not a thing for people to go get high, because being high is scary sometimes. So this is not your don't do drugs, take care of yourself. But point is, back then I was like, yeah, let me just go ditch high school and go get high. So I went, I got high, and then I came back, right, because I couldn't ditch the whole day. So I think I went like for lunch, and then I don't know, I think I ditched the class before lunch and then lunch. And then when I came back, I was already all high. And like when you're high, you're kind of like overthinking shit. And the point is, I was in art class, and this art room had like these big closets where you would store, projects, whatever. Point is, I was high, I was tripping, but I was good, keeping it cool. And then they sound a lockdown. A lockdown is where basically, like, it's like a, ¿cómo se dice? Like a, no sé cómo, I don't have the words, pero you practice safety in case like somebody breaks in the school. So they called the lockdown, and what happens is everybody like goes away from the windows and the doors, and then you basically like sit in silence and you wait for like the police officers to come and open the door and say, okay, lockdown is over. So point is, they called the lockdown, and I was there like high, and I was in a closet, and I remember I was tripping because since the police officer was gonna come, I was like so high that I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if like, what if they come in and then they realize that I'm high and then I get in trouble. So I was there like with the everything was dark, and I just remember I had my earphones on, and I was like tripping really bad. And that's a crazy story that happened to me. Other than that, I wasn't really a crazy kid. Like, I wouldn't party like a lot. I had my fun in some ways, but I wasn't like a crazy, wild person. What else? Another time that was fun was when, like, for example, my boyfriend went to a different high school, and I had a friend that was also dating a guy from like the same high school that my boyfriend was from. So I remember one time at lunch they came over, and it was like a crossover of episodes, with like Jimmy Neutron and Timmy Turner, and that could have been so dangerous because since they didn't go to the high school, it could have been like a whole like, oh my gosh, somebody's intruding the high school. But thankfully, no, thankfully that didn't happen. And yeah, those were some of the stories that I have. I have a bunch, obviously, but those are some of the ones I could think of. So yeah, high school overall, it was nice, it was good. I met a lot of fun people. But something I would have done different is maybe not been so shy, because I remember back then I was so shy of like rejection or somebody like thinking something of me. So if I could tell myself like like an advice, like if I could go to younger me, I would be like, just go out there and try to make friends. Who cares if they think of this, or you just go and don't be shy of what they're gonna think. That's what I would tell myself. So for the younger people or whoever's watching this, just be yourself. Try to make friends and be more present. That's something that I also would have told myself, because I kind of like went through things like always like focusing on something else. And now that I go back, I'm like, man, high school was so cool. Like, you're never gonna get a chance again to be surrounded by so many cool people at once. Once when you're like older or like an adult or whatever, like it's rare like the times that you interact with people like that are like work people or whatever. So the point is, just enjoy the people that are around you. Try to make friends. Try to have fun. Be safe. And that's all. Again, shout out to El Dorado High School. Thanks for watching. Tell me some of your crazy stories in high school. I will read them in the comments. But yes, ciao.